I rode the elevator to Meridian's 32nd floor, clutching a yellow bouquet, Adrienne's favorite, the same flowers I'd brought on our first date. The boardroom doors were already shut. Red flag. She opened them in Louboutins and Chanel, eyes like winter. Cameron Blake, your time is over. No preamble. No, we're restructuring. A manila envelope slid across polished mahogany. Security would escort me out within the hour. Around the table, colleagues inspected the grain rather than my face. I set the tulips down in front of the new CEO, my wife, and left. Funny thing, I didn't feel broken. I felt free. 48 hours. Earlier. 2 nights before that execution, my phone rang with a name you don't ignore. Theodore Hartwell, the founder who built Meridian from a garage to a Fortune 500. My house. 1 hour, he said, and hung up. Hartwell's estate looked like old money had hired an architect with a grudge. In his oak-paneled study, he poured whiskey and asked 2 questions. What do you know about loyalty? And what do you know about betrayal? Then he slid a thick folder across the desk. Stock transfer agreement, 42% of Meridian Industries. Why me? I asked. Because you care about more than margins, he said, and because your wife thinks I'm a harmless old man. He handed me a heavy silver pen. I signed. Condition. Keep quiet until the moment is right. Boxed up. After the firing, I packed my office into 3 cardboard coffins, crisis binders I'd written, team photos from ribbon cuttings and factory floors, a chipped mug, world's okayest manager. My phone buzzed with a scratchy, clandestine recording a junior analyst had captured in the post-firing debrief. Adrienne's voice filled my car. Cameron represents everything wrong with old-school management. Reactive, sentimental, dead weight. No one is irreplaceable. Dead weight. The same woman who'd once called me her anchor now used me as a cautionary slide. Arrogance makes people sloppy. She'd just given me a weapon. The silver pen in my pocket suddenly felt like a sword. The reserved chair. Friday, 8:47 a.m., I stood outside the glass-walled boardroom. Inside, the placard at the far end was impossible to miss. Reserved. Majority shareholder. Adrienne moved like she owned the room. She did, until an assistant delivered a manila folder. I watched confidence drain from her like light from a dying star. Papers scattered. The board shifted, confused. I opened the door and walked in. Ladies and gentlemen, I said, stopping behind the reserved chair, apologies for being late to my meeting. Margaret from legal blinked. Cameron, the termination was recommended by someone who, as of 8:30 this morning, lacks the authority to recommend anything. I set my phone on the table, the confirmation email glowing. I now hold 42% of Meridian Industries. Silence rippled like shock waves. Numbers mean power. 42% meant empire. I sat. The reversal. My first executive decision concerns a termination executed 2 days ago, I said. Adrienne's knuckles whitened against the table. Cameron, we can discuss this privately. It was public. The correction will be too. I placed the original termination letter on the table, uncapped Hartwell's pen, and signed. I do not accept my termination, I said evenly. Effective immediately, Cameron Blake is reinstated as Senior Operations Manager. I turned. The page. And promoted to Chief Operating Officer, with full authority over operations. Sandra from marketing started typing a press release in her head. Margaret's legal brain ticked through the implications. Bob from ops looked like someone had just thrown him a life preserver. Adrienne finally found her voice. I'm the CEO. You are, I said, of a company I control, which means you work for me. The words hovered like a guillotine. The board won't stand for this, she shot back. I looked around. Any objections to the majority shareholder exercising his rights? No one spoke. Real power doesn't shout. It simply exists. Guardians, not conquerors, I stood pocketing the silver pen. This company doesn't need showmen, I said. It needs guardians. Heads nodded, slowly at first, then with relief. Meridian didn't need a purge. It needed memory, discipline, someone who knew the factory floor as well as the board deck. Clapping began, tentative, then certain. Adrienne sat motionless, defeat settling where triumph had lived an hour earlier. She had fired her husband and created her boss. I walked to the door, the bouquet long since abandoned, the humiliation from 2 days prior a memory burned clean. "I'll see you all at 1 p.m. for operations," I said. "We've got work to do." I didn't slam the door. I didn't need to. Everyone in that room understood what had just happened. The coup had reversed quietly and completely. The king was dead. Long live the guardian. And Adrienne? She'd never forget the day she told me my time was over and met the man who already owned the clock.